Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Andrew here with Glass Factory. We are interviewing today EverSōl, otherwise known as Katie Reese. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Happy to have you. Happy to have you. So I want to just jump right in. You had a new single called Madness come out on June 3rd. Excellent stuff. You talk a lot about the importance of story-driven art. So what story drove you to write Madness?
So the cool thing about Madness actually was, so we wrote that song to a brief for like for TV and film. So it was literally a story that we wrote.
Nice.
To.
Cool.
Yeah. So one of my good friends in Nashville, her name's Anna Renee. She's actually the one that had the brief. So she kind of came to me and said, they're looking for something that's like kind of like forbidden love, something that's like a little bit sexy, a little bit dark, and mysterious. And so that's kind of where Madness, like the idea sparked from. So yeah, we went down that whole rabbit hole and we ended up with a cool song, we think. So
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And in terms of sonic influence, you mentioned like a little bit dark, a little bit sexy. Obviously, for me, that kind of triggers thoughts of like Lana Del Rey springs to mind, not only because you've brought her up, but because that's just the vibe that I get from Lana Del Rey. But like I bring that up only to ask who else has influenced your other works, because I've listened to I've listened to Secrets Untold, Runaway, and Kiss My, and they're all so varied that I'm like, you obviously got a lot of different stories going on, you got a lot of different influences, and I'm just curious if you are like what you're listening to on a regular basis.
So EverSōl actually used to be a band, and now it is an artist project, which so I'm leading all of that myself now.
Mm-hmm.
So like beginning stages of EverSōl, which is probably a lot of the stuff that you just named, was some of our earlier releases. It was much more like heavily influenced by like Paramore and Evanescence and like some of that kind of darker rock stuff. And then like during the pandemic, just kind of had to shift gears a little bit. We weren't playing live anymore, and it's like members started kind of dropping off on me,
Yeah.
which is normal, I guess. But anyway, so it kind of became like my thing, and I was like, I took some steps back, and I was like, what is it that I really want to do? And I anytime I like sit down to write songs, it always comes out dark and sad. I try to write a happy song, it just doesn't happen. so um so yeah, I started thinking like, a lot of this stuff could probably work really well in like moody TV shows and stuff like that. And that was kind of what began the process of trying to go down that route. And so yeah, my influence kind of ranges all over the place, but I would say for the stuff that I'm doing now, definitely kind of Lana Del Rey vibes. Also like Halsey is kind of in there, and then total flip the script is like Nine Inch Nails, like kind of that industrial stuff. So it really does range. And then I have a background in R&B actually, which is completely opposite of that. So you'll hear some like soulfulness that kind of trickles into. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually that's incredible. I have no follow up to that because I just am imagining like I don't know, now that you've put that into my brain, it's like industrial R&B is a great term, like great descriptive term.
Yeah.
Just that fluctuate that mix of Nine Inch Nails, Lana Del Rey, and an R&B background. That's like that is
It makes up
obviously who knows better than the artist, but like that just blew my mind right there.
Well,
Thank you for doing that today. And just going back a second to the mention of writing to a brief and writing to TV series and like darker other artworks. What what dark material are you drawing from right now? It can be artwork. It can be, if you want to go internal, totally fine.
yeah, I mean, like sometimes sometimes I do pull, internally, like past experiences and stuff like that. But a lot of the stuff that I do now, which was a little trick that I learned in the past year, was like putting on a dark TV show, like in the background. So if I'm like sitting down writing, I'll find like a vampire show or something kind of dark and creepy, just because that writing style comes really natural to me anyway. And so when I have a visual, then it just like, I'm like, oh, okay, now it all blends together, and that could totally work for that, scene or something like that. So yeah, that would say more often than not, that's probably what I'm doing when I'm like trying to draw inspiration for a song.
Nice. Back to the story-driven nature of things. In any medium, who would you say are your favorite storytellers?
Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of like artist wise is probably not exactly in my lane, but someone who I think is a phenomenal songwriter is actually Gavin DeGraw. He's, especially his new album, it's like super personal and deep, and yeah, I think he's a great storyteller, like through songs, because his songs are never like too on the nose either, which I really like.
What should people be looking for when it comes to like future EverSōl material after Madness?
So I've been doing a lot of writing this past year, and like a lot more writing with other people too in Nashville, which has been really cool. Because for a long time, I think I was like, a little bit of a hermit crab, like doing it all on my own. But when you like write with other people, oh, it just like, it's mind blowing. You just really start to realize how much growth can be, taught in those moments. But yeah, I mean, the stuff that I'll be really, so I've done some like really cinematic stuff, that you might hear like over a trailer or something, like a movie trailer. I'm not sure yet if I'm gonna release those unless it gets in like a really big film, then I'll feel like I have to release it,
Yeah,
obviously.
fair.
But like beyond that, I would say a lot of the tracks that I'm doing right now, they're similar to Madness. So they're not quite as like heavy rock as what I was once doing with like the band that I was in. And so now it's like, it's a little bit more, I'm still dark, always be dark and kind of gritty, but a little bit easier to listen to, a little bit more pop influence than rock. I would say, again, kind of like teetering this line between like Halsey and Nine Inch Nails.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I really like to, strip things back and just do piano ballads too. That's kind of another, because again, back to my R&B roots, I love just like, singing a nice ballad. And so I might release a few things like that too later on in the future.
Nice. And I was going to ask, because I see the keyboard there and you just mentioned the piano ballads. What is your primary instrument that you choose to write with?
Piano, for sure.
Okay, cool.
So I started on guitar when I first learned an instrument, when I was like 15. And I really liked it. I started writing songs and doing that kind of stuff. But then I started playing piano like in my early 20s. And I was like, oh yeah, this is my instrument for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, I love to write on piano. It's super therapeutic and, yeah, it's great.
Nice.
So
I love that you mentioned that writing's therapeutic too, but what were you about to say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I've dabbled in production more, so I wouldn't call myself a producer by no means, but I have done like enough that like I can get around in a DAW and like figure out how to make a mood, and then I'm like, okay, let me give it to like an expert to finish this.
Oh yeah. And
but it's great for writing. It's great for writing.
As an audio nerd, I have to ask, what is your DAW of choice?
Using Logic Pro.
Nice.
I tried Pro Tools when I very first started like trying to record on my own. And I was like, this is insanely hard to figure out. It was way beyond my knowledge. So, right. And then I felt like Logic was a little bit more user friendly because like I was able to just like get started. it wasn't anything great, but it was easy enough that I could like figure out how to just like record something. So
nice. Have you recorded with live strings, or is it mostly MIDI right now?
Mostly MIDI.
Cool.
Yeah.
It does not sound that way. That's why I was curious.
Yeah. So we did one song that we released called Runaway that we actually recorded at Ocean Way in Nashville.
Nice.
Pretty renowned studio there.
Yeah.
And we hired a string quartet to play on that song. It was awesome.
That's so cool.
One of the coolest experiences for sure.
Yeah. What is it that you want EverSōl to be known for? Is it the darkness? Is it the lyricism? Is it the sound?
That's a great question.
Is it the combination?
So, I don't, like, maybe a year or two ago, I would have said, maybe like the sound or something. But now, like, I don't know, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to just reflect more on my life. And I want EverSōl to be an inspiration to people. It's funny because I think most people think dark music, they're like, oh, that's not super inspirational. But like, when you're in the midst of like going through something really hard, a lot of times you have to listen to that kind of music to like get you through it. And I think that's what I've always tried to do is like, like listening to darker music, sometimes like it gets it out of you and like you can just like get some stress out and it's therapeutic, And so I think if anything, I would hope that people would listen to the music to just feel the raw emotion and let it go, and yeah, be a light in the darkness.
I love that, especially with the subject matter of madness as a song. That's
yeah.
I'm not gonna rate answers, but that's a perfect answer. Everyone, please let. Yeah. No. I can't think of anything else that I need to ask, but I really, truly did enjoy Madness, and I enjoyed all of the work that you did with the band. So I really do want to make sure that everyone gets to see this and gets to know EverSōl, because
thank you.
You have a lot of good going on, and I think more people need that therapy.
There's more to come after Madness for sure. I don't have the next release scheduled just yet, but I have some songs that are ready to be released. So they will be coming out at some point in the near future. So I think I might be able to squeeze another one in this year. So we'll see.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love to hear that. Well, thank you so much, Katie. And everyone go check out EverSōl after you watch this interview.
Please
Thank you so much.
Please stream Madness. It's on Spotify, Apple Music, all of the major music platforms. And any shares or follows on at EverSōl Music is my Instagram. So would love any love that anybody can give me, and any streams people can stream. That'd be awesome. Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for being here.